Hey everyone, it's Sam Mackay from Enterprise DNA. I just want to go over here a really common problem which I hear about and see a number of requests for. Now, it's all to do with financial years. So I've gone over how do you create a date table, and certainly if you want to learn more, jump into the Ultimate Beginner's Guide series, because I give away some date table code there, and you can learn how to recreate date tables really quickly. What that date table does not do though is it does not solve this issue of financial years. What it does, let's just go have a quick look at the table before I jump in and show you how to actually solve or how to actually create a financial year column specifically for your own customized financial years. Now, the financial year calculation within that date table code, it actually delivers to you the financial year column. So if your financial year starts in July, well, it will tell you that that's FY18 or FY17 or however you register your financial years. But what it does not do is it does not adjust your quarters and your months, or especially your quarters in this case, to those particular financial years. So just in this particular case, the quarter and year is always actually on the calendar year. It doesn't actually change the financial year. Now, you could probably solve this in code, okay? But in this example, I want to show you how you could just very quickly solve it with calculated columns, because in most cases that's what I tend to do. You know, it doesn't take much time. Once you set it up, once it's done, you know, it's very easy. So what I have done is I've realized that this was not correct. You know, that my financial year started in July in this particular case, and what I wanted to do is I needed to align my quarters to the financial year. Now, what I first did is I just actually created a quarter column, because that by itself didn't exist. So all I did for that is I went left the quarter and year, and I grabbed the first two parts of that particular column. So that's always the quarter, so it's going to be Q1, Q2, Q3, etc. Now, this though, still, it's calendar year. It doesn't align to financial years. So what I had to do is I needed to create some additional logic inside a calculated column, which I called financial year quarters here. And this enables me, by doing this enables me to actually create a quarter column or align the quarter to my specific one of that particular year. So what I did is I went and found the month of year column, which lists the number for every single month. So in this case, if it's January, February, or March, that's actually Q3. That's actually Q3 of our financial year. And the same goes for April, May, June is Q4, and so on and so forth. So what I've done is I used the switch true logic. Relatively simple. All it is just many nested if statements written in a more effective way, and I just went through and listed all the different quarters and how they align to specific months, and that's it. That's seriously it. That's all you have to do to be able to achieve that. But the other thing that I didn't I realized, is that this quarter alone needs to be improved, because we want to actually see the financial quarter and year. And then so what I did for this is I actually used a combination of a few things. First of all, I used the FY quarters, the one that we have created from the financial year column, but then I went and grabbed the end of the financial year. You see here, this is the financial year column, and I'm going to grab because this date will align to our financial year. So I went and grabbed the last two digits of that one, put 20 in front of it, and then that's how I got my financial quarter and year. And then we obviously we need to be able to sort this column, and we can still sort it by this quarter and year here, which is really handy, which already exists in that date table code. So just a reminder, if you want to grab the date table code, certainly jump into the Ultimate Beginner's Guide series at Enterprise DNA Online. There'll be a link to that in the description. That will enable you to download the code, and then you can utilize these techniques to align your financial year quarters. And then this is what we get as an output. Instead of Q1 2015, which is the calendar date, we now have January, February, March is Q3 2015, and then that is our number there. And then now these are all aligned, they sort correctly, etc. So that's basically how you do it. It's not too difficult. All it takes is just writing out once, a bit of if or switch logic inside a calculated column, and then you're done. and then it's set up, and then all you've got to do is drag in, bring in the filters, put it in slices, and you can utilize it across any calculation that you do in your report. You don't have to write any additional fancy formula, because you can utilize that column, or those columns that we've created inside the data model, and filter any calculations, things like averages, cumulative totals, anything that you do, time intelligence, anything you do down in within this table from a DAX perspective can now be filtered by any of these columns that you've created up in your lookup tables in the data model. Okay, so I'm just going to wrap it up. Hopefully this solves this problem for a lot of people, and you can understand how you can utilize calculated columns in a really effective way to leverage off what already exists in your data, but then also to enable you to solve for these small these small things that you come across, customized things that you come across in your own environments. Okay, all the best. Cheers.